My psychologist told me to write down a detailed account of the traumatic experience that you survived. Oh, is that all? Just relive the day, I try to forget throughout the day, and am forced to remember every night while I toss and turn in my bed. He claims this aggressive type of PTSD treatment is used all over the world with sweeping success, but he warned me that there would be homework. I didn't think that homework would be so emotionally and psychologically grueling. This is my, as detailed as possible account of what happened a couple weeks ago. Enjoy your front row ticket to the movie that's etched into my mind's eye. Don't forget the damn popcorn. I thought I would always remember my senior year spring break. The whole week had been the equivalent of a lazy sunglassed grin facing the cloud-speckled blue sky. I've never been able to effectively put into words the power of a weekend. It's a green light to the revving engines and squealing tire marks of our morale. I wanted to experience that energy like a jolt of lightning burning through me, waking up the girl I wanted to be. That spring break was my chance to be like the teenagers of movies and Instagram. A refreshing change from being curled up at home, living through my books. Yes, I know I'm rambling, but this isn't easy. Thank you for your patience, though. Okay. I remember Kayla's face scaring the shit out of me, figuratively speaking, when it made my phone dance all over the counter, vibrating the song of its own people into my otherwise quiet bathroom. I answered it with a cheery, "Hey girl, what's up? Please save me from this boredom and tell me you've got an idea of some stupid shit to do." She did. I hung up and did a half-eager, half-nervous little happy dance on the toilet before shaking out my hands and hair and collecting myself. I only had 30 minutes to get ready. Gotta go fast. When I walked up to the old silver Honda Accord, I remember my heart quickening, and I straightened my back and threw my hair over my shoulder. A nervous tick. Tonight, I was going to be a real teenager, climbing into the back seat of what I had basically come to think of as a noble storybook stallion, loyally whisking us off to adventure after adventure. If you count Barnes & Noble trips and explorative tours around the haunted places that every town has as adventures. I did. That stallion belonged to Madison. My hand started shaking, typing her name. Madison McKinney. Next to Madison, in the passenger seat, was Kayla. And in the seat next to the other window in the back was Carmen, still smelling faintly of softball practice under her perfumes as her toned leg tapped furiously into the dirty beige floor mat, despite the calm look on her face. Anxiety's one bitch, I understand too. I smiled at everyone and greeted them enthusiastically as we pulled away. When I asked what the plan was, Madison shot me a quick, cryptic smile and claimed it was a surprise. I shrugged and put my hand back out the window, feeling it dance against the strong currents of wind in time with the music. We stopped at what would best be described as a glorified underpass. The main highway was rumbling way above our heads. We were at the end of a pothole-plastered road that led down to a cute creek and a quarry. I craned my neck around the passenger seat and saw old metal steps crawling up the rocky wall like a shiny scar that hadn't healed quite right. I was clearly confused, but Madison and Kayla shared a knowing yet vaguely amused look. And I didn't want to seem dumb enough to not know why we were here, so I ignored Carmen's loud, confused stare to the side of my head and grabbed my purse. I got out, absent-mindedly putting on chapstick while closing the door and taking in everything around me. The birds sang so closely. The cars were whooshing past somewhere that felt much farther away. Now, I understood the command to wear a swimsuit under my clothes and bring a towel. It was all smiles and laughs for the first couple hours that we were there. Kayla even snuck out an almost full Dasani water bottle of her mom's hidden stash vodka. We were feeling the music booming through the little Bluetooth Madison brought, and greedily lapped up our freedom. Madison and Kayla said they wanted to get some waters and use the bathroom up at the little gas station off the highway. It was barely visible from where we were lounging due to the glare of the sun off the rusting steps and the sheer angle of the quarry walls. Not wanting to seem like a pussy and question when the last time those steps were serviced, I waved them off with a shout over my shoulder to get a Sprite as a chaser. Carmen and I continued to sunbathe and listened to a Dirty Heads Pandora radio wordlessly for at least 7 to 8 songs before I thought that they were gone for a pretty long time and checked my phone. Nothing. I turned around and saw Kayla frantically running down the steps, swinging her arms and screaming. What the highway didn't muffle, the song did. How could I not hear the scream sooner? Carmen and I shot up, threw on our shorts, t-shirts, and sandals in record time, and took off for a dead sprint over the rocky ground to the stairs. "The truck! She's in the truck!" Kayla screamed down to us, turning her heels and running back up the steps. She continued to wildly swing her arms around on the side of the highway, probably looking like a girl out of a horror movie, who people should know better than to stop for. The banging of our feet shook the old metal steps in cadence with my heartbeat. Another mail truck pulled off into the gravel next to her, at the same time Carmen and I hit the top of the steps, mostly out of breath and very afraid. Kayla was half screaming to the woman about how our friend Madison had snuck into the back of the FedEx truck as part of a dare, but when Kayla closed the door to scare her, it wouldn't open again without a key. She ran right past the driver when she went back into the store, asking for someone to open up the doors before seeing it drive away in the reflection of the icy machines. That's when I felt the first real trickle of fear, like bile down my throat. The woman, who I would later know as Mrs. Jones, the friendly neighborhood UPS driver, was completing her rounds and was kind enough to stop for us. The next bit is difficult to remember. We all got in the van, and Mrs. Jones took off at a breakneck speed, dipping and weaving through the dense weekend traffic until Kayla screamed and pointed with her whole shaking arm that that's the FedEx truck Madison was in. Mrs. Jones laid on the horn behind the truck, and she must have startled a few distracted drivers, because the two 18-wheelers on either side of the little truck wove, and with all the bad luck in the world, both hit the truck right in front of us. The sides crumpled just enough to break off the measly lock from the back doors. They opened like the curtains of a macabre play. Madison was standing in the back, looking terrified and bewildered, trying frantically to grab onto anything sturdy and coming up empty. She looked up and saw us in the window of the truck behind her. She choked back a sob and waved. We did the same. But then, the little truck swerved onto the next lane, throwing her to the right side of the vehicle and dangerously making her lose her balance. The other cars who saw the doors open and the males spilling out were honking. But it all melded into the symphony of Jersey traffic. Not to mention the marching band of cocaine banging and burning its way up the FedEx driver's nose to apparently help him stay awake after his previous graveyard shift job, which was later revealed in the investigation. The truck hit a huge pothole and sped up at the same time, launching her into the air and moving the ground out from her previous grip on the doorframe. I'll never forget seeing her body parallel to the road, her cover-up and blonde curls whipping furiously around her terrified face as she screamed for all her lungs were worth. Seeing the full shadow of her body sprawled over the road, like one of those damn chalk outlines in cheesy cop shows. What must have been milliseconds later, the truck slammed on its brakes to avoid hitting a slower driver, and she shot back to the back with a thud and tumbled all the way to the driver's wall. Mrs. Jones, to her credit, was remarkably calm and stayed as close to that truck as she could without putting us in danger too. I could see Madison hitting the sheet-metaled wall with her small fist trying to get the driver's attention before scrambling for a foothold again as he swung into the far left lane and sped up. We saw her body hit the opposite wall and crumble like a rag doll. I don't think I breathed once up until then, because flickers of stars and blackness started to dance around my vision. I gasped for breath, looking down and around for a second. I had a secure grip on the back of Mrs. Jones' seat. Carmen and Kayla held on fast to the low-hanging belts that still securely held the smaller packages to our own sheet metal walls, and the doors were all safely closed around us. We were safe. When I looked back up, I saw the little white truck shoot over to the far right lane, hazard lights blinking furiously, clearly aiming to stop at the little triangle runway between an exit and the lanes of traffic. He must have finally seen the door flapping in his rearview mirror. Sputtering to a stop and leaving angry black tire marks all over the road, we all cried a laugh of relief. Madison lifted her curled head up to the open doors, covering the sun from her eyes with one hand and crawling to the exit. Mrs. Jones started to pull off into the patch of road to the right side of the exit lane when the first car hit the little truck. It must have tried to shoot across traffic to make its exit, and not accounted for a FedEx truck in its way. We all screamed, and I was told later that Mrs. Jones had to hold me back from crawling over her to open the door and run out to help. I watched as car after car hit that stupid little truck and each other, first making its tail spin back into the exit lane, and then flipping into the median. Deep crimson blood ran down Madison's fair skin as her arm miraculously shot out through the empty hole that once was the back doors and pulled herself out. She took 3 or 4 confused, painful steps before ultimately collapsing on the side of the pavement in front of a stopped blue sedan that was already hit. I remember sprinting down the exit lane, screaming her name and telling myself that she survived, over and over again, when the frantic horn of an 18-wheeler broke the sky around me. I turned around just in time to see it barrel down the exit lane, brakes screaming, and driver desperately trying to regain control. The sickening crunch and screech of cars being pushed down a road is something I never thought I would know so well. metal frames dragged across the asphalt like matchsticks. When I turned back around, I think I screamed. I think I ran. I may have fainted, but I know that I saw the huge streak of red on the pavement and a bloodied mass of blonde curly hair peeking out from underneath the tire well of the now crushed blue sedan. I woke up in the hospital. My concerned family was scattered throughout the hospital, either having a smoke outside, getting a late dinner in the cafeteria, talking to doctors, or sleeping on the uncomfortable visitor chairs next to my bed. My mom woke up with a start when she heard my quiet sobs, and they grew louder and more breathless as she held me in my bed, carefully avoiding the minor burns and cuts across my body from when one of the cars exploded. I must have been a passed-out mess on the grass next to the pavement by that point. I don't even remember the boom. My friend Madison McKinney died that day, June 22nd, 2017. Unfortunately, she was far from the only victim of that record-breaking pileup. Mrs. Jones, Kayla, and Carmen somehow got out without a scratch, and I was considered one of the extremely lucky ones. Although I've heard Kayla found herself in the coveted position of one to be made an example of by our overly zealous district attorney. The court dates are set, but I don't know what charges she'll be looking at for provoking this tragedy through a thoughtless and immature dare. I don't really know how I feel about all that yet. I've been kept here for the last week. Carmen came to visit once, but we both became so inconsolable, our parents thought it best that we take a break to heal. At first, I believed my doctor, when she claimed it was to keep an eye on a particular nasty third-degree burn on my left arm, which covered my head when some hot shrapnel fell on me, before first responders could knock it off. Then, I heard her and my mom whispering in the halls, when they thought I was asleep, that they want to keep a close eye on my mental health. Soon enough, I was moved up to the loony bin on the top floor. I've been told that the sooner I can get through this therapy, the sooner I can get ready to move into my dorm, which will be for the best. Everywhere I look here, I see something Madison would have had a snarky comment or witty opinion on. She always hated hospitals. I really hope my next homework assignment won't be as grueling as this one was. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you want to see more, let me know in the comments below, and tell me what you thought of this narration. Make sure to follow me on Twitter for updates, and if you'd like to get early videos, shoutouts, and much more, I'd appreciate it if you check out my Patreon page. It's a place where you can help support my channel while getting awesome rewards in the process, and every pledge helps out a ton, no matter the size. So if you'd like to see all the rewards I offer and consider becoming a patron, it'd mean a ton to me if you'd click the link in the description and just check it out. And don't forget to show some love to the amazingly talented authors who make these narrations possible. Have a good night, everybody. Cheers.